Welcome to the Rise and Wander podcast, where we'll explore adventure, spirituality, and empowerment through the outdoors and beyond. Join me, Carla Amador, as we focus on topics around the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional benefits derived through the outdoors. You'll also hear inspiring stories, get educated, and more. Let's get started.
Hey friends! Getting outside and hiking changed my life back in 2014. Now I want to share an even bigger adventure with you all. This October 2026, I will be leading a small group to Nepal to trek the iconic Annapurna circuit. Join me on a powerful journey through the Himalayas that challenges your body, expands your mind, and connects you deeply with nature and each other. This is more than a trip, it's a milestone. And if trekking Nepal has ever been on your bucket list, I would love for you to join us. Spots are limited, and you can learn more on our website at 52hikechallenge.com. Click on the Events and Trips tab, and then Adventure Trips with 52 to learn more. Are you ready to take a life-changing journey? Join me for a hike per week or 52 hikes within a year at 52hikechallenge.com. Gain the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional benefits derived through the outdoors. You'll also gain access to community, education, resources, and more. Plus, get 10% off on your sign up and first order with code RISE25. That's RISE25. See you on the trails. Welcome to the Rise and Wander podcast, episode 8. Thank you so much for joining me. On this season, we're talking all about hiking essentials and hiking basics. I've been talking to you about gear from clothing to other gear that you're going to need when you're out hiking. So we're going to start with backpacks today. There is so much to consider, but I'll just give you some basic information. When you're first starting off, you are going to want a very simple pack. So I've decided to pull some different things for you here. So here's an example of a very basic starter pack. This is the REI Flash 18. That 18 stands for 18 liters. This is a really good starting pack for people who are new to hiking, who are going to go for under 5 miles, not in the winter time. That we're going to talk a little bit about why you want bigger pack when it's winter time. So anyhow, this is my older Flash pack. I love it. As you can see, I have a lot of my pins on there, and I still use this sometimes. So something like that runs about like $40 or so. You can get them everywhere. You know, you can even shop at places like Walmart and get something for $20 to $30 or so. That's for the starting point. You're new to hiking. Maybe you're hiking about 5 miles in the 3 seasons: spring, summer, and fall. During the wintertime, you are going to want something that's going to have a little bit more capacity. So that's where the liters come in. And packs can range. 30-liter pack will be really good for wintertime. I'm going to show you what I use also for wintertime. It tends to hold all my items. So this is my Osprey pack. It's a 20-liter pack. As you can see, it actually is pretty robust and it has a lot of space. I can bring this in the winter time and pretty much have mostly what I need in here. I also have a 30-liter pack that I have as well that will allow me to attach more items to the pack, especially for the winter time where I might be snowshoeing and I want to attach it to the pack. So you're going to really choose your pack based off of what you're going to be hiking in, how much gear you're going to be carrying. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the gear you might consider. And of course, you can speak to your local outdoor retailer and tell them like what you're planning to get into, how long you're going for, how much water you're going to be packing, and they can help you determine what kind of a backpack to get. There is so much to think about when it comes to backpack. Fit is really important, especially if you're going to be carrying a lot of stuff, so you may want additional support. This pack here has a built-in system that helps with sweat to kind of keep it away from your body. There's lots of different systems out there. This one has more of a support system where the Flash does not really have any support. So those are going to be considerations depending on your specific needs. You're going to have more padding for some, less padding for others. You might have hip belts for some of them that have extra storage. A lot of the packs do have a belt that you can still adjust, which helps with the weight distribution. So how to pack your pack. Before I go out, I make sure everything fits in there. Typically, all the little things are on the bottom. You know, we've already talked about the 10 essentials, so I make sure all my 10 essentials are in there, my rain jacket. If I need extra layers, I'll put in some extra layers in there. Really just a matter of ensuring that you pre-pack and make sure everything fits. Your water, this pack comes with a built-in system for your water. It's in this little kind of like area in here. I'll see if I can get that so you could see it. Where my Flash, it has a space for it, but it doesn't come included. So those are things you're going to want to consider, and they can get really heavy. I think sometimes my pack probably weighs 20 to 30 pounds depending on what kind of gear I have in it. But I include all my 10 essentials, any extras, my food. You just want to make sure that you have plenty of space, and believe it or not, you can kind of stuff them really good. So that's my little note on packs. Definitely make sure to get fitted. Try out different packs. We've worked with REI for many years, and they have a really great system where they can even stuff them with different weight sizes so you can kind of get a feel for it, see how it fits, in addition to making sure that maybe you go with a brand that you can actually return if needed, if it doesn't work for you. So those are things to look out for. There's so many brands out there. Gregory packs, Osprey, REI has their own brand. I just got my first ultra lightweight pack, more for backpacking, but I could actually bring it on day hikes as well. It's ultra lightweight, so there's that as an option as well. Just know that you're going to pay a lot more for ultra lightweight. There's also a brand out there called Deuter who has been an awesome partner of ours, and you might want to check them out as well. I could go on and on and on. There are many different pack companies. And as you're doing your due diligence, of course, read reviews and check them out in person. That's the best way to find out. In addition, you want to make sure that your pack comes with some sort of a rain cover if possible, or you might need to buy an extra one. I've talked a little bit about waterproofing. The waterproofing on your rain covers could also eventually go bad, and you'll either need to reapply or purchase another rain cover for your packs. Some other things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I've already brought this up, but I thought it would be fun to revisit. Other essentials are to bring some sort of, this is my restroom bag. I have my trowel in there. I have a trash bag. I have toilet paper, hand sanitizer. This is a trowel. So for those of you that don't know what a trowel is so when you go to the bathroom, you dig a hole. This is all about leave no trace, and you want to carry out your trash with you. So this is what I bring. It's an essential. I wanted to just remind you to not forget to pack that. So also a Kula cloth is really great for those of you that do not know what a Kula cloth is. A Kula cloth is this little cloth here that was invented by a friend, Anastasia Allison. And so what you do is you go to the bathroom, number one only for women, ladies, and you basically just wipe with this after you've done your thing, and you just snap it together. The outside is material that is waterproof. It's antimicrobial. The inside, it's made with like copper, I believe. This is a 52 Hike Challenge edition. We do have them in our store, and we do make different designs every now and then. So this is really awesome if you want to leave no trace and be less wasteful. And I will say for a long time, I wasn't sure about it, but I gave it a go, and I'm so grateful. You just pop it in the wash when you're done after each hike and reattach it to your pack. You can actually attach it to the outside of your pack. Thank you so much for learning more about Leave No Trace and making sure that, you know, you're doing your part to leave it better than you found it and leaving less waste out there. There's nothing more frustrating, I think, than when I'm out hiking and I see tons of toilet paper on the trails. I just want to make sure that you guys know that there are other ways to do your part to leave it better than you found it. I didn't pull out my trekking poles, but let's get into trekking poles. Trekking poles are really great if you're going to start doing more technical trails or your knees hurt. There are so many different thoughts on if they really help you with stability and knee problems. Personally, for me, I know that when I'm doing a lot of elevation gain and loss, they help. And I am a huge proponent of them, especially if you're eventually thinking about getting into backpacking. You're going to want to have the extra support. I know my knees definitely hurt on the way down, and they've helped me many times break a fall. And they have so many other uses, from sometimes like I'm hiking and bushwhacking and making sure like there are no spiders. But yeah, to me, they're an essential item that I would get after hiking shoes. I would almost say I would get trekking poles next, especially if you're doing the 52 hike challenge and you're going to be out hiking a ton. There's many different brands out there. I'm currently using Lakey or Lecky. I've had Black Diamond poles, which are great. I've used all kinds of poles. I've used just your basic, like foldable carbon fiber, really, really lightweight. I've had experiences with so many different types of poles. They have different grips, and I don't personally like the cork. For me, that might work for you. I'm not so much into the hiking stick, although I see people take those out. I just prefer just keeping it simple, bringing the trekking poles. I don't typically bring trekking poles on something that's going to be like 3 miles, but do what works for you. Some people use them at all times. I typically am like, okay, if I'm going to do something with more than 1,000 feet of elevation gain within a 2-mile period, I'll bring them with me. Or if I'm doing like a 10-mile day and there's going to be a lot of altitude gain, 2,000 feet of elevation gain, etc. That's my spiel on trekking poles. The next thing I'm going to share with you guys, and I know I've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk again just to remind you about having some sort of GPS unit or some sort of a system that if you get in trouble that you can call for help. This is a really old spot device, but it works. I pay a yearly fee. If I'm out hiking and I ever get into trouble, this would notify a family member. It would also contact the satellite system that is in charge of getting help if you need to be rescued. In this case, this one does not have as many functions as something like a Garmin would have, that you can either download an app on your phone and text with someone. This one's a very basic starter point one. I do eventually need to upgrade to a Garmin. And basically, if something ever happened, I feel comfortable knowing like at least someone will be able to pinpoint where I am. Nowadays, the iPhone also has a system where it has a satellite, but I would always say you want to be extra safe and make sure you have a dedicated GPS unit of some sort. And again, there are many brands out there, so I'll just kind of let you guys further research it. It's worth the investment if you're going to be out in the backcountry, if you're going to be doing solo hikes, and you're going to be doing a lot of hiking in general. It's worth the investment. Put that on the must-get list at some point. And yeah, you know, the units can be a bit pricey. There's a brand out there called Zoleo. That's another one. Spot. The Garmin, there's other brands, but those are just some to get you started and so you can do some research. The Zoleo works with your phone as well. All right, so here are some other essentials that you may not have thought about, but this is a Sawyer water mini filter. This can go in your emergency kit in case you ran out of water and you needed to filter water. That's one option. There are also tablets. There are so many other ways that you can treat your water. There's even a pen that you can use that will get rid of bacteria and that kind of a thing. These are really great filters. Here's the regular squeeze, and I love this one. I typically will bring this mostly when I'm backpacking, but some people want to have it as a backup. I'm all for it. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. As always, I highly recommend you always bring enough water for your trip and extra. But if you know you're going to be by a water source that is reliable, that's another thing. Not all water sources are reliable. Then you can alternate if you know you're going to be like out a long day and you're going to be filtering water. Always look at trip reports, make sure those water sources are in fact available. So that's a little bit on water and water treatment. Another thing you might want to consider when you're doing your hikes is investing in a local hiking book. I have a couple of examples here. This is Day Hiking Los Angeles by Casey Schreiner. And this is Urban Trails San Diego, and I just had them as a guest. And so this is another great resource. Another thing to think about, this one is a pocket one, so you know you can carry it with you. In addition, there's maps. So I didn't pull a map, but You can invest into a map of an area. That's a really great topographic map that will help as you are preparing. That's really important, as always be prepared. We talked about safety in a recent podcast with Hiking Guy, and he talked all about the importance of making sure you always have some sort of a map, print it, put it into a plastic Ziploc bag, and make sure that you have some way of navigating, bringing a map and compass and being familiar with it. I have a couple last little notes on other gear to think about. When springtime comes around, bug spray is a really great thing to carry with you if you know you're going to be in an area that has mosquitoes and bugs and all of that. You can spray your clothes. There is something called permethrin that Sawyer makes, and basically it will help to prevent ticks and mosquitoes. That's another option. Some people don't like that. There's lots of ways to take care of or prevent bugs from attacking. One of them is this bug net. It's not the prettiest thing, but you just basically put it over your head and then it goes down to your neck. You put your hat over it. I've had to use this before when I've done the John Muir Trail or I was hiking a lot in the Sierras. There were a lot of mosquitoes, especially, I believe it's like June or July. They're really active and you just could not keep them off of you. So this helped a lot. So this is another thing to consider if you're going to be hiking where there's a lot of bugs. Also, I did not bring these items out, but if you are hiking a lot where there's poison oak, poison ivy, first off, knowing what that looks like, what to look out for, being really careful. Again, going back to the trekking poles. Sometimes I've used that to get bushes out of the way. There's a brand out there, Technu, that has a product that if you touch the plant and you get a breakout, you can wash the skin and it helps to get rid of the oils. There's an oil called urushiol in these leaves that basically causes the rash. And so they have different products. They even have now wipes that you can just wipe it down. It's happened to me before. I've actually brushed up against something and then it was burning. And so I used the wipes and it did in fact help. So they have a ton of different products. I'll let you check them out. Those are considerations and things that maybe when you're first starting out, you may not really be aware of. That's why it's so important to know before you go, do your research, look at trip reports, find out what kind of flora and fauna you're going to come across. Another thing, if you're going to be in bear country, you might want to have bear spray with you and make sure that it's legal. There are some places you're not supposed to have it. And also you can't carry it on airplanes and stuff like that. So just do your research. That's another consideration. Where am I hiking? What kind of animals might I see? We're not going to fully talk about animal encounters today, but that's a part of doing that research, knowing what to do in case you come across some animal. I just did a post on snake safety because there's been unfortunately some accidents with snakes recently in California. And so it's like, what do I do if that happens? Do your own research. Make sure that you look at websites that are official websites, like park websites will have really good information. That's really key here. The last thing I'm going to touch on today, snow gear. So I talked a little bit about snowshoes. If you have a lot of deep, puffy, light snow, this is great for you thinking about getting outside as snowshoes, and you can rent them. It's a fun activity. It counts as hiking for us and the challenge. You want to have snow baskets on your trekking poles when you're doing that activity and anytime you're hiking in the snow, because if you don't have those snow baskets, then your poles are just going to puncture through. It's called post-holing through the snow. Talking about snow, you are going to want to consider microspikes. And this is a brand called Catula. They make these traction devices, which will help in case you are in icy conditions and snow. This helps with traction with less chances of you having a really bad injury and having a slip and fall. These are two different options here. This one is their more traditional version, and I recently got to test out their Ghost, which are ultra lightweight. I'm not going to pull them out because they're dirty, but they are super lightweight. So this is for someone who's really looking to carry the least amount of weight. I love these. They've been really great. I am so happy with them. They're so much easier to put on than the traditional ones. I feel like the traditional ones are harder to get on your shoes. With these, you're going to want to test them out before you put them on your boots, and they help a ton. So really great product. Really love Kahtoola. On that note, Kahtoola does have these, but I have these from Outdoor Research. These are gaiters. They come in different sizes and shapes. These are like a larger version of them, but these basically help keep snow debris out of your shoe. There's like a super lightweight version that's for hiking where there's sand. Maybe you're in dusty places. Maybe you're hiking sand dunes. You're hiking in the desert where there's a lot of rock, or you're doing some sort of peaks that have a lot of shale and a lot of little rocks. That will help to keep the dust and the dirt out of your shoes. So in addition to that, this is good for snow. It gives you a little more coverage and keeps you warm because it's kind of like high up to the knee. It keeps snow out, keeps debris out. I wear that usually when I'm doing some sort of mountaineering activity. A note on mountaineering and micro spikes. Mountaineering is a totally different activity than hiking in the snow. It's when you're going up peaks and there's so many other elements, and it's really unfortunate to see people getting into trouble. They don't have the right gear, including wearing micro spikes for mountaineering when you're supposed to have ice axe and crampons. If you're thinking about doing something like that in the future, you really want to be trained. You want to know about avalanche conditions. There's so much more to it, and you're taking up your risk. You're going from something basic to something really risky. So you really want to be mindful that you are not mountaineering or doing things where you will need the proper equipment that is mountaineering equipment, and try to think that your trekking poles and micro spikes are going to help. So just be mindful of that. Please be careful when you are getting outside. This isn't all the gear that you can use when you're out hiking, but it's some ideas of things that you're going to need. And in addition, you can ask friends what they like, and, make sure that, of course, with all your gear, you store it properly. Make sure to read the manuals. For example, with the filters, you do need to flush them out. Eventually, the fibers inside could freeze. So there's a lot to kind of know about how to keep your gear in order. Make sure to clean it. You are investing a lot into this gear, and, debris can actually compromise the materials. Eventually, gear does go bad. So you do want to test your gear every now and then. You will want to replace your gear. I like checking things out, like if I need an updated bug spray or I need to refill it. I like to look at my pack and see what items do I need to replace and replenish. As you're doing your research, you will realize and figure out what you need to bring for each adventure. So I do hope that this was helpful and that it has made you think about some different options when it comes to your hiking gear. Ultimately, it's okay for you to take your time, and little by little, you will develop your own library. I like putting my gear in plastic bins, and I have a little storage unit, and I keep all my gear there. Sometimes I keep some of my gear that I use a lot in my closet in my home. I have pretty much whatever I need. If I want to go on a last minute adventure, I just go pick, choose, and I know where everything is. I have like certain boxes that I keep like my most used gear, my more camping based gear. I even have a box of my packs, and I keep certain packs, like my backpacking packs are going to be in my storage, where my daily packs are going to be in my closet. That's kind of it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Please share this podcast and this episode with friends that are new to hiking or you think might find this topic interesting. As always, feel free to leave a comment, and I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.